Hey, this is Fast Turnaround on the podcast. Ben, thank you. Griff, thank you for coming. Short notice, appreciate it. I have two special guests today on November 26th, Saturday. One's my next door neighbor that lives in my subdivision with her daughter, Brinley. And this is awesome. This is awesome podcast because I don't know anything about you. So podcasts usually open up and you get to know a lot about somebody. It's really crazy because you have athletes live with me, and I never knew Josh Dobbs, the former Tennessee quarterback. His first love was baseball. Harrison Smith plays with the Vikings, never knew that his first love was soccer. It's crazy because you get one-on-one like this compared to like sitting on the couch watching TV, eating dinner, or training. You're not talking when you're training. You're concentrating on training, so it's different. So let's open up. Introduce yourself.
My name is Brinley Murphy. I go to Bearden High School. I play soccer, and I just recently quit basketball this year. But
Such a quitter.
Quit's not the right word.
Yeah.
That's
I had to retire.
Yeah, you pivoted over, right? You concentrate on something.
And I'm going to University of South Carolina next year to play soccer.
All right. And Mama, I know you pretty well, but introduce yourself because I wanted to have you on just for the nutrition part because you teach up at UT, correct?
That's right.
Yep.
My name is, sorry.
You go.
My name is Lee Murphy, and I'm a registered dietitian, and I teach at the University of Tennessee as a distinguished lecturer for the undergraduate nutrition class.
Looking gorgeous as ever, pearly blue eyes. And the good thing, Kylie, one of our girls is sitting in here, a softball player, and I am so glad Nutrition Mama's over here because Kylie has childlike eating habits. It's very, very basic
very
and bland. And I mean, like, we take her to Mexican and she gets chicken fingers and fries.
It's okay, Kylie.
So we wanted to talk about that too. So hopefully we could dive into that just a little. But I always open up a question with all the athletes, and I want you to answer it for me.
Okay.
When did you know that you were different? Because you're a pretty special athlete, right?
Yes.
like you're all KL, all state, all
American.
I thought so. I bragged on that earlier today. I didn't want to.
Yes. She was All American last year,
Right.
and we're waiting to hear about this year. And then she's playing an All American senior game in a couple weeks in Florida. And then she's also Gatorade Player of the Year for Tennessee. And she was recently awarded the high school Heisman Award for the state of Tennessee.
Right. So, and again, we pivoted on this from our podcast before, the mental toughness one of, it's pretty simple to be great. And Mama over here texts me. She's like, I don't think it is. And I was like, I think you're right. So we went back after a lunch meeting with a couple other athletes, and they're like, you know what? Like, what you do and how you do it for 33 years, it's not that simple. It's not that easy. So stop it. And so I wanted you to explain where you are and why do you think you're different? And when did you know?
Probably, okay, so I want to say 7th grade, I started playing with a team from South Carolina because my team in Knoxville just wasn't, I was playing like a local team in Knoxville, and it just wasn't enough competition, and I knew I needed to play with better players and get more exposure. And I know it's such a young age, but that's just the world we're living in right now where, I mean, it's crazy, like 6th and 7th graders are getting, recruited, but I knew I had to change. So I was going to play for a different club in Nashville, but then they signed this whole contract where we weren't allowed to steal intercup players. So I moved to South Carolina. So that's how I got a lot of connections to South Carolina. And honestly, playing for that club was just gave me a lot of opportunities, and I think if I didn't switch over, I wouldn't be where I am today. Because, it was a really hard decision because, when you're younger, soccer's kind of about hanging out with your, it's a social time, but I had to leave all my friends and play for this club. So I think that was one of the hardest but, most beneficial decisions.
So 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Did you see that?
Yes, for sure. And we obviously still lived in Knoxville, so we were driving to Greenville, South Carolina, 2-3 times a week. And so our home club was 3 hours away. It was just a lot. She's got a brother and a sister too. So, and her dad, my husband, travels a lot. So it was it was a lot on our family, but it was the best move that we possibly could have. And at that point, the South Carolina coach started looking at her and started recruiting her in 7th grade, honestly. They started talking on the phone in 7th grade before the rules changed and they couldn't do that anymore. But they were talking almost every week or every other week in 7th grade on the phone to her now coach.
So is that where you're going to play?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I'm so
Gonna
excited.
be Gamecock. Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's big time. Okay, so the sacrifices sound like it's one of the things that greatness comes upon, correct?
That's a very, very good point. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. And
Yeah.
she missed out on a lot of social things here, and she still kept up great friendships, and of course, and the long story that she can keep continuing is she came back to Knoxville Club and after her during her sophomore year in high school, but those few years she played in Greenville were instrumental. And I mean, she went to nationals and with this team and got so much exposure. I mean, there were like 80, 100 D1 top level, the toppest of top coaches coming
per
to
game.
her middle school games, when she was playing on that team, and she got that really big exposure, which was great.
Where'd you get the soccer background? Mom, dad played?
So my parents both played. My mom was a goalie. Like, I feel like you just wouldn't think about that. Like, you wouldn't see her as a goalie, but she was a goalie. And my dad claims to have been like this really good soccer player, but both my aunts played soccer.
I love the word claims.
He was.
Both my aunts both my aunts played, and my one of them went to Lenore Ryan to play soccer, or my dad went to play basketball. So, and Aunt Shawnee, she played a lot and ended up coaching in college for a little bit. But I always thought like my push would be to play basketball, because that's what my dad did so much, and both my siblings play it. But honestly, he's kind of been the one to push a lot more for soccer and kind of been like ease off on basketball. So, not that I ever was like major with basketball, but I played it since 6th grade.
Yeah, we didn't mention last year she won a state championship in high school for soccer and basketball at Bearden. She won both championships.
Yeah,
and
we
so,
watched that on the basketball on TV, and we're like, hey, there she is.
That's right. So it was a hard decision to not play this year with her sister, especially because her sister plays. But she was a big contributor to the team defensively.
So you contribute your athleticism to playing more than 1-2 sports, correct? And most of my guests on here have done that until they figure it out and then single it out. But most, even the athlete that was just staying with me the last 2 days from Baylor, Maxence from Canada, he's special. He does the traveling. I mean, that's what we're talking about. You and I were talking about the greatness and what do you see? Well, this kid had a 2-day break from Thanksgiving at Baylor and wanted to come up and train.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's simple, but not easy. I think that's where we came to a...
That's right.
Yeah.
Actually, I was talking about the conversation.
We had a big argument when she was walking her dog one day.
But it was, because I was like, great. Records are still broken every day, which means people are greater than their predecessors in some ways, in terms of breaking their records. But it doesn't, in my opinion, it's not necessarily easier to be great, but there are less people striving to be that. Right.
Yeah. That's what we were trying to get to. Yes. And I like that. And I got some DMs and some other messages that were calling me out. Like, you're annoying me. I'm coming to get you with this whole simple and easy.
But I knew you were thinking. Yeah. I knew you were thinking the same thing. I was just
and then my next podcast we're doing, guys, it's not everybody can be great. You're born with that biblically for greatness, but if you don't pull it out, you don't pull it out. So the difference is what makes Maxence from Baylor want to come up here and train for 2 days with a blown out ankle and had to be back for practice Friday. And he got back within 30 minutes and was like, cool as the other side of the pillow on the way home. He wasn't stressing about it. So he had all those intangibles. I had a ride in today with one of my clients, and he was like, oh, yeah, I could see how you could think Max is going to play at the next level and the next level. I go, watch him move in here and do that. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the things that I see when he lives with me and the things I see when he tries to be better of coming up for that. Like, he could easily just sit and eat a turkey leg. He wanted to be here and train 6 more sessions, work on his ankle for 2 hours, and he's going to be playing on Sundays. But at 15 years of age, I knew that. When he came 2 years ago and stayed with me, you're like, he's special. You're special. So the special part is what?
Well, back to what you were saying, kind of, I feel like one of the really hard things as an athlete is it's good, but it's also hard. It's just the mental factor of overtraining almost, because every single day I feel like if I take a day off, I'm like, I'm going to fail. I'm not going to do this, which is really hard because I know my body physically needs rest. Right now, I've never really had a prolonging injury, but my ankle has been just, so messed up, and it hurts to walk, but I know that like in my head I'm like, okay, because all my coaches have been like, okay, take 4 days off to this, but like I can't take 4 days off. I have to, be improving one way or another every single day, and it's just really hard for me to think about having a day off because it's always been instilled in me, if I take a day off, I'm going to get behind, and someone else is working harder, so I don't want that to happen.
Again, so with the mental toughness, this series we had, I don't know, Ben, 12 episodes of it. It came from a dad that trains out of here, and his son was up against I think there were 9 or 10 and up against another team that was a little bit rougher, and they saw where they just folded on the field. So he came in and he was like, hey, what do you think about making my kid mentally tougher? It's like, what's going on with that? So we had him come in, he started training. So do you think that's innate or born that she thinks like that and wants to do that? Because only the special ones do. There's, we talk about it all the time, and we have these debates all the time. If you love something, you don't burn out.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been doing this 33 years, and I remember in my 12th year, all my business clients were coming up going, you can't go this hard, you're going to burn out. And I didn't know anything about the psychology part of it that I do now. I was like, no, I actually love this, so I don't think you will. So we had that big discussion, but we talked about the mental toughness, so the dads are coming in going, okay, you make them tough, you make her tough, you make this tough. Yes and no, but they were like, okay, just the Woodgym. But I think it still starts under the roof of the household. So is it innate or born or something you instilled every day and kept on her about, hey, getting after it?
I think it's both. As we're having this conversation, I'm not trying to turn the tide to nutrition, but it makes me think of like in my class, like certain types, body types, and say being overweight or being underweight. Is it environment or is it genetics, right? And this is exactly the same argument in a different context, right? And I think excuse this analogy if it bothers anybody, but it's you have this innate sense of genetics, and then environment pulls the trigger, right? And so whatever's instilled within you, you have to have an environment that sets that off to hopefully a positive way, right? And so in my profession, it could be like someone's predisposed to obesity, and then their environment blows that up, right? And they have this environment that's unhealthy, and it leads to a less healthy life, right? And in this what we're talking about here, you have this predisposition for greatness, and if you have the environment set up to support that in both your family and your social system and your community,
sure,
and spiritually, everything else, that sets it off and triggers it to be even greater and to reach the maximum potential.
So that's what we talked about, and Griff knows this. He's one of my fellow Christ-like friends that we talk about all the time. Is we're all born for that. God didn't make somebody not great and this one not great, but not everybody reaches that. Not everybody pulls it out. I mean, there's lazy people. I see it every day in the sports world of like, you see even different levels of, God, if this guy worked really hard, he could be a Pro Bowler. If this guy worked really hard, he could make the team. If this guy really worked hard, he could make second string. You got to look at that. So you look at the innate part and the environmental part, and I agree with you totally, because I do think you have some genetic to it, and then you have something to massage it with. So like your headspace of, yes, overtraining, and that's funny because most Patron people in here do too much, and I actually have to fake and go, hey, I'm out of town tomorrow, I can't go to give. I still remember doing that to Mike McHenry, who's on the wall, played with the Pirates. He overtrains. He wanted to overtrain. He wanted to get that. It's like, how does somebody? We're still getting to that. It's still understanding. Even watching you walk all the time and jog all the time, like she never gives it a break. Yeah. But again, biblical, the apple in the tree. It's like, okay, I get it. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
So a daily day, like, is it 7 days a week, 6 days a week? For you to become All-American, All-American soccer player. And bravo to that. And I had nothing to do with it. She's just a damn guest on here. So she's a wood gymmer for sure with her mentality, but I haven't seen her, walking the dogs, and I'm like, go get it,
Definitely 7 days a week, and I look at it as like every single day you can get better and improve in some way. So I'd say every single day I'm doing, if it's not soccer, I feel like I do some kind of soccer every single day, whether that's I do this like 1,000 touch drill just to get some touches in. But I mean, I'd say I'd probably train like hard 6 days a week, and I guess the 7th day is my rest, but I'm still working out. And it's hard because I try to get people to train with a lot. Like I'll be like, okay, let's do this. But people, a lot of people don't want to do it as much, and it's really difficult. But definitely, every single day I try to improve in one way or another.
And you just answered what I was saying on the last podcast, where your mom was yelling at me down the street. She goes, "Hey, I got a bone to pick with you." I'm like, "Whoa." Like you just said, you couldn't find people to do it with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. No, I think that kind of like what you guys said.
So it's easy to be you see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not easy because of the work and waking up and doing it. I get that.
We need a
But I
different
think
word
that
beside easy.
Yeah, we got to find something.
I think the people who do make it past, like, that are going into their senior year still playing sports are the ones who, the competition pool is probably smaller, but I think it might be, I don't want to say higher, but there's definitely a lot more, like, club. It's ridiculous how much time it is now than what it used to be. Like, it's an all year long thing, and we're, like, literally last weekend, we were playing in Ohio, and when it felt like 0 degrees, like, it was just like, I mean, that's so cold, but you have to do it. And I think the pool that we have is so advanced, and so everyone works really hard because we're fighting. We only have each other to fight against, so you can only compare yourself to your small group of peers. But because in high school, I mean, it's I would say for soccer, it's easier to be a standout player that's really good, but in club, it's definitely a whole different story because it's just who you play with. So I think that it just depends.
Do you hear the things? Kylie probably doesn't, because she was looking at Dr. James Chu's in the house. He's my guest on all the mental toughness ones and calling everybody out. And he's a guy that's climbed all 7 peaks of the world in the mountains. And I had him since high school. And it's really crazy. But he's but you just said the word that he always had to think about. You have to do it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you? Mm-hmm. I mean, so what, like, I have to do it. And I think about that all the time when I'm closing up here at 7 at night and that field, that soccer, the FC Alliance field is going, and it's colder than you know what out there. And I'm like, a lot of the girls that I had, the Caroline Carvers, the Kara Chases, the girls from Webb that I trained with soccer, they train here and then go over there. And I'm like, I think I'm a pretty tough guy, and I'm getting in the car, putting on the heat seat. I'm like, I don't know how they do that. But you're saying you have to do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not just going to be like, sorry, that's just a selfish decision, in my opinion. Because everyone, like, whenever I'm playing in the cold, I just have to think, everyone out here is cold. I'm just as cold as them. So, that's my advantage. Like, I always said, like, I love playing in the cold because everyone uses that as, like, a reason or an excuse to play bad. Like, oh, it was so cold. But, like, in my opinion, that's just a reason to stand out more, because if everyone hates the cold so much, but I'm like, okay, I like playing in the cold, then it's just like a mindset that can, like, set apart from the other players. Yes.
Embrace the suck. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like when I hear it all the time on football, and Griff knows this, is, oh, well, we don't play good in the rain. I'm like, well, the other team was playing in the rain. Like, I never got that concept of that. Yeah. So I like that. Okay, so you're your senior year, so South Carolina. Now, are you preparing to go in and play?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Is your mindset like, okay, I'm going into play? Yeah.
I don't think my mindset has ever been like, I'm going to go in and, hopefully I make the travel roster this week, because that's never, if that was like the level I was at going in, I'd make sure I was in the, starting or subbing on group. But they only have 2 senior starters leaving. And so my whole life I kind of played center forward. And then I moved to center back, which is like literally complete opposite sides of the field. But I decided to do center back because my coaches pushed me back there just because more opportunity and I can grow more, and they just saw more back there. So they're losing a center back this year and a holding mid. And I was kind of asking the coaches, like, hey, what position do you want me to play this club season so I can prepare, because I've played like 20 positions. And they were like, forward, center back, or holding mid. And I was like...
Which is like the whole
Which is good, because you want to have a player who's flexible and can do a lot of positions. So I'm just... I'm hoping isn't a good word when it comes to sports, I don't think. So I'm preparing to go in and make an impact.
You're using all the right words. Yeah.
I know, you come to my house. I know, y'all haven't even had a conversation. I can just see the YouTube.
Yeah, well, it's nice. Like... I mean, it's, it's the same when you're with the same type of people.
Mentality.
And when you're not, it's really frustrating. And I've been told that from anybody that's around me is I focus. It's the Leo in me, being born August 10th. It's the Leo in me.
I'm August 20th. I'm a Leo too.
There you go. There you go. So we're, I hate to say it, everybody, but we're born for greatness. You know? God just did something special to us. But we want everybody to come to the top of the mountain and see the peak. Mm-hmm. And anybody I'm with and around, they get frustrated because I'm at home going, why doesn't this person want? I don't understand how they don't want to get up at 4:37. I don't understand this. I don't get it. And even when they have a lot of talent, female, male, and they're like, not everybody.
Yeah.
The world needs ditch diggers too. You know, not everybody wants to get there. I just think that you're hitting on all the things, the hope to prepare, because like you're talking about the cold. Well, not saying you were born for this, but it's when somebody does well that I've trained and everybody's like, oh man, were you surprised? Or Harrison Smith made a Pro Bowl or whatever. I'm like, no. Like, he did all the work. He did everything. Like, he should pass the test if you do all that.
Right.
But everybody expects not to do that because, see, you're a dying breed. And that's why it's going to be easier for you to be SEC All-American.
Yeah.
Because
But easier is not the right word.
Well, we got to find the word. I know. And I don't think it's simple
but
either.
You're right. But I know what you're trying to say.
But her mindset, like 1,000 touches, this, that.
Right.
Nobody does that because even Kylie sitting here being a college softball player that I trained through high school is... They don't go out and hit anymore on them. It always has to be a lesson. It always has to be a paid trainer. I have to have this accountability to show up. We paid for this. Nobody goes out and does the stuff that nobody's watching. Yeah. Everything's a highlight reel. And talking to Chad Pennington, the travel stuff, now nobody practices through the week. It's just all games on the weekends for whatever sports those are. Nobody puts in the grind because it's not sexy. It's not social media.
Right. And I think, one reason that she was sadly gave up basketball this year was because in her decision, she was so distraught over this because, she was going to be the senior captain with the other senior that's
FSU commit.
That she's been playing with since middle school, that they've been looking forward this year since they were in 6th grade, right, together, the only two senior anyway, and her sister's on the team. There was just so much, but she just was like, listen, I'm fooling myself if I think I'm my best soccer self if I'm playing basketball. I want to play a lot next year in the SEC.
And it was honestly like the hardest decision I've ever had to make.
Well, don't you think the sports made you a better soccer player?
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So be an athlete. Right, you're an athlete. And that's what I've always done in here. You said another great word. I don't know where you came from, but it sounds like you're one of my daughters or the daughter, is the cross training. That's what we do. We don't do CrossFit, but the cross training. So everybody becomes an athlete in here. Yeah. It's not just a one plane or it's all multi-directional movements that we do. So I think that sports have helped her, and then she could get into her niche more. Right.
And it's kind of like, back when we were kids, like, all the good athletes played everything, right? Mm-hmm. And only, not to be negative, but if you just played one sport when you were back our age, you weren't really that great, right?
Right. It was the opposite.
Yes.
Right.
And now it's the complete opposite. You can't.
It literally is the complete opposite, because the people I know who play multiple sports now, I'd say the majority, I know there's a few exceptions, but they're just kind of average at every single sport they do, because if you're taking time away from your favorite sport to practice a sport that you're not going to college for, that you're not going to pursue professionally, then you're taking that valuable time away. And that was like why I had to make this hard decision, because I was like, I know that I'm not going to go anywhere to stop basketball, and the reason why I was truly playing it was to have fun, but at the end of the day, and just like have a break from soccer, but at the end of the day, it was taking away from my soccer training. I knew this season that I needed to literally be lifting as much as possible, and with basketball, I wouldn't have time to lift. I was going from 3:30 to 6 basketball practice, and then 7 to 8:30 soccer practice, and then training on the days we have soccer club practice 3 times a week, and the other days I was training on my own and stuff, so it was just impossible to lift or get all that stuff done. So it was tough to do.
You could see I'm a minor in psychology, sports claim to be, but you could see her mind never turns off. So, one of the questions is, when do you rest?
This is really hard, but honestly, like right now, I'd say is I'm like trying to force myself to rest for my ankle's sake, because I want to be the peak I can. And with my ankle being like this, it's just impossible to do that. But I'd say the longest break off of soccer I had in probably over a year was after we won the state championship. I got into like a car wreck a couple days after, and this was when I was deciding between basketball and soccer, and I literally went from the state championship Saturday. I did some stuff Sunday, but then Monday I had basketball practice, so I literally had one day off after a whole season. So so then after I got in the car wreck, I took like 2 days off, so that was probably,
But it's a fight. We have to make that. Because just like sleep, it's like it's integral to being the best person.
We talked about that with Dr. James, too. Mm-hmm. If we had a series on that, recovery and rest and how important that is.
Just like recovery nutrition is crucial to your success. You have to feed your muscles.
And we definitely, we got to have you on. I just want you by yourself to really dive into nutrition because, Mama, you've played a big part in knowing the nutrition with her and just knowing she's getting the right foods, Kylie. And, just understanding that. But I'm just, it's the first time I've met you. You're in my subdivision. You walk the dogs and, people tell me things and we wave, but that's about it. So if I'm staring at you, it's not, weirdo type of stuff. I'm just thinking about this is what I'm talking about, Griff. This is because Griff and I are doing this big film thing, the documentary we talked about. Griff's the one shooting it, and we chop it up all the time, when we're mountain bike riding. But you're right. It's a different, Max just asked me, the kid from Baylor that stays with me from Canada that's going to play on Saturdays and Sundays. He asked me 2 days ago, should I play basketball this year? Yes. Yeah. So when parents ask me that, I'm actually wanting the best for them instead of we could train more with you, more days, more money, more income. Right. But it's what's best for that athlete because at the end of the day, that Patron athlete is going to go further with playing back. Yeah. Now, he's a junior, and we're going to see what's happening. He's starting to get all his offers and all that. And he's already rolled his ankle once, but he asked me. And the parents are always like, he's all yours. Like, you develop him. I like those guys because there's no outside influence of the unknown, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, and two, you don't know the other things. You don't know till you get there, right? And so for her whole high school career, we've seen this oldest group, and a lot of them weren't maybe, going to play the level she's going to play at, but a lot of them were playing at a higher level, but a lot of them just kind of fizzled out, or just it was like an easy year. It's not, and then when she got there, she was like, actually, this is going to be my most challenging year because I want this to be my preseason to be in the SEC, basically. And so I have to work as hard as I ever have. I'm not like going out with the sunset. So we didn't know that till she got there, that was the situation.
Because I'll be sacrificing soccer practices for basketball practices or games. And I can't do that when my club only has 3 practices a week. And we have games every single week, and you can't just miss a practice because that's,
So take me through, before we wrap it up, this is amazing. This is awesome. But take me through your day, a champion's mind, as I call it.
Probably
everything. You could shout out another training place, whatever. Take it all.
Okay, so
give it to me.
I'll say my busier days, probably Tuesday, Thursdays.
Wake up. What time?
Yeah, wake up so I really cherish my sleep. Because I know that I'm busy all day long, so I have to get 9 hours of sleep.
And you look forward to bed.
Yeah. Yes. I go to bed early, and I make sure I get I try to wake up only 15 minutes before I leave to school because I know I'm going to be busy all day long, and that sleep is very important for me to be able to.
What time you get up?
I get up at 7:45 and leave for school at 8. So I literally have 15 minutes to get myself ready and leave, so that
breakfast.
She does have it. I make her a smoothie, so it's kind of ready for her.
See the team support. You wake yourself up.
I wake myself up.
Come on, Kylie.
I set an alarm every 5 minutes. I have every 5 minutes. I'm like, I need to be doing this. I need to be doing this until I leave, and then I go to school. I get out at 2:30. Lunch. I eat lunch at school at 12:30.
What type of lunch? Packed or there?
Packed. My mom packs my lunch still, but.
See what I'm saying? She's doing all the steps. I did the same thing in high school.
And then
my mom didn't pack my lunch. So.
Well, she packs a good lunch.
I'm a nutritionist.
No, I know. I'm with you. Yeah.
And then get out of school at 2:30, and I go, depending on how busy my day is going to be, I go to the gym.
Okay, hold on. We got to dive the smoothie. What's in your smoothie and the breakfast?
I don't know. I just
Secret?
drank it.
You don't have to tell us.
There's Greek yogurt and peanut butter and fruits, frozen fruits, and some protein powder.
Okay.
And some milk.
Does she brown bag it like old school for lunch?
Oh,
A
yeah.
brown bags are cool. You guys remember brown bags at all? They're awesome. All right, so a good lunch.
And then I do school.
Wait, he wants to know what you have for lunch.
Oh, for lunch I have. It kind of depends. I have some.
Are you picky?
I'm not. I'm
No,
like literally the least picky person.
When she was a
Kylie.
kid, Kylie, I love you. We'll figure you out. But
Good luck.
When she was a little kid, like she would just as easily have. I'm not saying that she doesn't eat sweets, but she would just as easily have a whole cucumber as she would have a handful of M&Ms. Like she would have both.
Well, you were raised.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing of how you were raised with a palate, and I
Yeah.
wasn't. My mom gave me yoo-hoos and ding-dongs and zingers, and I was like, "Why am I so chubby? Why do I have to wear the husky pants and have the weight limits?" That was me. Yeah, so I had to figure it out on my own. So you do lunch, you get off 2:30.
And then I go to the gym for, I'd say about 45 minutes to an hour. Do the steam room for the last 15
What
minutes. Gym? I just go to Gold's. I just left at Gold's.
Because I
usually.
teach there. I know I teach. So she has a free membership. Yeah.
Savage, give me some. Yeah, on your own. Come on, Kylie.
And then I go train with Z. He runs Soccer Player Academy. He's honestly like one of the hardest trainers. Because he will scream at you in your face and just to push you to go harder because he knows what level players are. And
I was told I would like that place.
oh, you would
It's
love
like a warehouse. One of my clients has his daughter go there for the first time and was doing the touches,
Yeah.
the thing, and he sent me video going, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I was just looking at it, and then he goes, I think you'd like him in the place. He trains like some pretty good girls." And this was just last week, and then he swiped on something and said, "Yeah, this girl's pretty good from Bearden." I was like, "She's coming on next week." Yeah, so you're already famous. Kind
He's
of cool.
great. He comes and watches he watches the games and it was like very serious with like, you need to do this and this and this. You did great this. And, I mean, he's
and he
like
cares so
studies
deeply
and
for
he's
everyone he
great.
trains, which is honestly like one of the, I don't know. I don't know that many trainers, but some of them could easily just like, not care that much about who they're training and just kind of be like, okay, money. But Z like truly cares like so much for who he trains.
He's got
and,
passion for it.
Yeah,
He wants you
yeah.
to do well.
Like 100%. And so I train with Z for like an hour 15 minutes with Lucas Nordine on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He's going to ETSU to play soccer and he goes to Bearden.
Got it.
And then
So you train with a boy.
I love training with guys.
Raise
so
the
much.
level up.
I try.
I think
whenever
honestly,
can.
I think that was one of her turning points too. Around the time in middle school, she started because she was in this trapped year where her team was older and they were in high school. Anyway, she trained with boys teams, and I think that was
That
really
helped.
good.
Definitely,
Yep.
I like training with guys. And
Lunch, dinner. Where
then,
we getting
then I
home?
have I have my club practice after that
Ooh,
for an
okay.
hour and a half, and then I get home.
Again, that's different, right? I mean, that's why she's on here. Because she's an All-American, because she didn't wake, it's not like Beyonce or whatever. I woke up like this. You know what I'm saying? That's not how it was. You had to put in the work, okay?
Yeah, and then dinner. And honestly, my favorite meal for dinner is we make me, my sister and I make salmon and like amazing salmon. It's bourbon salmon from Publix, and we get some what's it called, turmeric rice on the side,
Ooh,
and seaweed,
yep,
and
it's good.
that's a good dinner. And then I go
Good
to
for
bed.
the brain.
Yeah,
You know?
and
You have
do homework.
cucumbers.
I guess I mean calculus is my hardest class right now. I'm in AP calculus, and so I do homework for a little bit. I really don't have homework actually because I have to make sure to manage my time because I know after school I'm going to be busy all the time. So I manage my time during school and work. Like we have like advisory period for 30 minutes, so I literally get in class, sit, and all my like friends are in that class, and they all like are always talking about. I literally am like, guys, like I have to work. For,
Do you have to tell her to do this?
No, listen. I'm
That's
not
what I was
kidding.
going to say.
Since she was in elementary school, she's never had homework, like ever. And I'm like, and first when she was younger, I was like, she just has the good teachers that don't give homework.
Right.
But
She was
this has
doing it
been
in class.
right. This has been her whole entire life.
I was
and
one
all
of
of a
those.
sudden, I realized she's
Yeah.
just she's super. Task oriented at school, and if she has a second, she's getting it done because she knows she doesn't have time in the
Yeah,
evenings
because
of
it's
sports.
like
and
AP
so-
and honors classes, and everyone in my class is like, oh, I had homework for 2 hours last night. I'm like, that's literally impossible. There's no way you had homework for 2 hours. You're probably on your phone in between things and
Yeah.
doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after that I go to
Holy
bed.
moly.
At 10.
She's a throwback. She's a throwback, bro. She's a throwback. Okay, so I would identify this as a family affair. Right, like
sure.
I mean, it's she's independent, doing a lot, but it comes from the influence under the household, as
sure.
I'll tell Dr. James Chu. And I wrote down a word here. You're quite perfect.
Oh.
I mean, you got. I mean, it's really impressive. And real quick, what would you tell people with bland palates? How do they?
On a totally other note.
just like how do they?
We're talking about
I mean, well, there's different levels.
You're
I mean,
right.
she's going to stay injured. She's not going to have the peak performance. It's chicken fingers and fries are going to be played out. Even for the pros, you find that. So, 2 minutes if you had to tell Kylie something.
Well, sometimes it takes like hundreds of exposures to accept something and liking it. And so, do you eat vegetables much? Any vegetables at all?
Broccoli.
I bet. Well, that's good. Let's go with that. Broccoli.
Okay.
And although we like variety, balance, and moderation in nutrition, so you like lots of different colorful fruits and vegetables, right? But even if you just have one, let's go with that. Or, I bet I could make you a smoothie and hide some vegetables in it and you wouldn't taste them. And although there's different mentalities in that, sometimes you don't want to do that to not teach people to like foods. But sometimes you have to do it to get it in there, right?
Agreed.
So there's a little different ways to look at that.
But do you have like a soldier's mentality also of like, I don't care if it makes me better, recovery, performance, I'm going to eat it?
Brinley's like that, but some
Bingo.
people aren't.
That's what I do.
And some people are like, there's like they tell nutritionists, like, especially little kids.
Well, that's why
like,
she's an All-American too. So Brinley, I mean, it's that simple.
But they're like, they will. Children will not starve themselves. But I had a friend in college who her kid was so like self, just strong.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, yeah, I will starve myself. I'm not going to have that kale that you're trying to give me. You know what I mean?
Collagen,
right. Yes, right. There's lots of different supplements we could talk about in the future too. About she's started to take collagen for injury prevention. But anyway, but it's just supplements have their place too. And sometimes if you're not eating vegetables, I think supplements should be there. If you're not going to be eating otherwise, and I mean talking fruits and vegetables, then you might need vitamin mineral supplements. And food's always first, and it should be where you get your nutrients. But if you have to fill those gaps, I'd rather you have for a supplement than not at all. Right? So.
I just like staring at her because she's so nice, and she's always that way. Sometimes you can't coach nice. It's like, is that fake or is that nice? And it's always nice. And I can't thank you enough for coming out here.
Thanks.
This was nice, and I definitely we'll schedule it today to get you on and really do an in-depth, an hour and a half or whatever. We could chop it up, have a cocktail, whatever we want here. But Brinley, I can't say enough. I mean, I'm impressed. I love this. I mean, this is actually the roundup of what we were talking about with the mental toughness. But I agree with you 100%. She's the perfect storm with her genetics and what she wants. And you find that because I come from two other siblings. And real quick, I had a disgruntled Saturday Thanksgiving with them because they put it at Dunch at 2 p.m. And I'm like, I went into the house so mad because, I couldn't have a glass of wine because I still had to mountain bike after. And they were so mad because I'm like, you don't understand. I do this turkey ride every,
I saw all the cars.
Yeah, it's a 25th
house.
annual. And I'm like, I have to get this. And I was so mad. And it's just like, why was I different like that? And I think you just grab a hold of something and whatever the passion is.
And the genetics are the same, right? But your environment triggered you differently,
yes.
right?
Yep. And I turned some negatives into positives and never the victor. Always the victor, never the victim is what I thought. So I'm so impressed with you, and hopefully you come train at the Woodgym. So
no, I was talking to Mom about it. I definitely want to when I have
time.
Yeah.
She would impress you. You would love her.
Oh, good. I already do. All right. Thank you. God bless everybody. Happy Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.